Hello, and welcome back to Visiting Dugout, a Fans First Sports Network production. I am Chrystal O'Keefe. You will probably hear my dog Willow squeaking in the background. And today I have Claire on to chat about the Mariners. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course, so excited to meet you. We've been following each other for a while, so this is wonderful. So,
Yeah, I know
first things
it's
first.
cool to meet my phone friends.
So first things first, what is new with the Mariners? It seemed like a lot happened recently.
Yes. Busy trade deadline. I don't know. We lovingly, hatingly call our president of baseball operations Jerry DePoto Trader Jerry. I feel like he's always cooking up something. This was exciting for the Mariners. They were able to trade for Josh Naylor, Eugenio Suarez, and reliever Caleb Ferguson from the Pirates. So for us, that's pretty big. So I think everyone is really excited, especially like I don't know. I feel like it's an interesting combo of vibes from like a Eugenio Suarez who's just like beloved everywhere he goes. He's so positive, and then you've got Josh Naylor who's like very serious, very like baseball is my job. This is all I think about. Apparently, I don't know. So yeah, we're excited.
Suarez was kind of the belle of the ball at this trade deadline. So that's a huge grab. Everyone wanted him.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Like it's been interesting kind of like approaching this as like, I'm a fan of this team. I want them to like win, but it's like also you have to think about like the human aspect. Like these are, people with lives and families and it's like their job is a lot busier and more public and high paying than like probably most of ours, but it's still just a job. That's only a part of who they are. So, I feel bad for him. That must have been really stressful. Just like, being associated with all these rumors and like all these different teams talking about, maybe wanting to trade for him. I don't know. Like, I feel like that would make it really hard for me to do my job. So, but yeah, we're all just like super happy to have him back.
Yeah, I always feel weird when it comes to the trade deadline and it comes to the off season and people are just like, oh, he's, amping up his trade value or and Luis Robert had a pretty rough season so far. He's kind of picking it back up, but they're like, oh, he's tanking his trade value, and I'm like, that feels yucky to say. Because again,
Yeah, yeah.
that's a person who's about to like pick up and potentially move across the country to be on your team. It feels slimy to say that.
Yeah, just calling people like rentals, It's like I rent my apartment. Like I don't rent I don't know. It's just kind of weird. So I've been trying to be really, like intentional about saying like, "Oh yeah, like he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year," or like yeah, so I don't know. Just yeah, very very weird.
So, how are you feeling about the Mariners' season overall? They've been doing fairly well. Obviously, you've got Cal, who's incredible and only hits home runs. It seems like. But are you feeling really positive? Because I know it's a tough division to be in if you're a Mariner. So, how are you feeling overall about this season?
Yeah, I feel good. I think last year, just with like how good the pitching was, just kind of like top to bottom, I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't go all in, just because I feel like you're never gonna get a year of pitching like we had last season. It was just unbelievable. And it's like this year everybody's been good but not great, so that's I think been kind of a little bit of a kind of tough for Mariners fans to just sort of like stomach like you know we were so used to like perfection last year, and like this year it's still like we still have really good pitching. It's just like hard to kind of like compare the two. Hitting, I feel like I don't know. Like, I think for the Mariners this year, it's been a lot of just like trying to get everything going at the same time. And it's like if the pitching is going well, the bullpen is doing well, it's like the Mariners are just not able to score any runs. Or like maybe they're able to score some runs and the pitching is great, but like the defense is just kind of sloppy. So it's been a good year. I just would like to see them like consistently get everything going at the same time. I mean, so would everybody's baseball team, but I think that's been a big struggle for them this year.
So we'll take a quick break, and then we will break down what this series might look like. All right, welcome back. So let's get into the series with the Mariners. I'm very partial to the Mariners. Obviously, I'm going to root for my team, but it's kind of one of those situations where, like, hey, both teams could just have fun because the Mariners are fun to watch. I loved the ballpark too. I was just there last year. Finally, I made it out to Seattle to see it. It was just like really good vibes all around. I loved it. Um, but anyway, so let's talk about pitching. First game, we've got Davis Martin versus Bryan Wu. Second game, we have Jonathan Cannon and George Kirby. And then the final game is Shane Smith and Logan Gilbert. So, and we already kind of touched on pitching, but what can you say about this rotation that we'll see?
Yeah, Bryan Wu was an all-star this year. It was his first year as an all-star. He's been incredibly consistent. I think he's pitched at least 6 innings in most, if not all, of his starts this year. He's had a lot of quality starts. So that's been just a huge bright spot for the Mariners this year. I think he had TJ in college, and so there were some like injury concerns for him, like as he was kind of coming up through the minors, and there were some injury concerns last year, but he's been just like so consistent for us this year, which has been really great. His parents come to a lot of his games too, which is just like really cute. They'll always like, pan to his parents in the crowd and they're like cheering and, happy. I don't know. I just like, I love that, just like, here's the family, here's the friends, here's the, yeah, so I love that. But yeah, George Kirby and Logan Gilbert were just phenomenal, super consistent last year. This year, they both had some injuries. George Kirby started the season on the IL. Logan Gilbert went on the IL for a while. But they're both back. We'll see. When they're on, they're like really on. I think George Kirby had 14 strikeouts earlier in a game this year. So I'm hoping that they're able to give us some really good solid outings. The Mariners had 17 consecutive games right before the All-Star break, and now they're on another. I think today is game 17 of 17 in a row with no off days today. So I'm happy that we have the off day tomorrow at home, which is good. But yeah, they definitely need a break. So hopefully we can get a good long start from Logan Evans today. Give the bullpen a little bit of a break.
I was about to ask if your bullpen is very taxed by that because it does seem like your pitchers can eat innings, but how taxed is your bullpen?
I mean, it's just been tough with like a lot of games in a row. We had a road trip at the beginning of the 17 game stretch. Yeah, I think. Oh, we had extra innings yesterday too. So I think just about everybody has pitched in like the last 24, 48 hours. Today is Logan Evans versus Jacob DeGrom. So I really have no idea how that's gonna go. um, really, really could go either way for both of those guys. So just
Jacob DeGrom, one of the loves of my life in baseball, because I was a Mets girly Well,
Okay.
I'm a Mets girly, but I was a big Jacob DeGrom girl, and he shares a birthday with me, so it's extra
Oh,
special.
yeah, that's a good birthday buddy. Aaron Judge and I have the same birthday. Um, but I feel like Jacob DeGrom is a lot more, I don't know, Riz than Aaron Judge.
Yeah, not a robot. Like, I mean, no hate to Aaron Judge. He's a phenomenal player, but I'm also convinced he's a robot. So,
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that came out later.
so with this Mariners team, and you know what? It's probably Cal. I would say Cal if I was in your position. But who is the biggest threat to this White Sox team right now?
um, Randy Rose.
Yikes, man! I don't even know what that's like to have such good players. All right. Pardon the interruption. Internet is funky sometimes. So, we just talked about who the threats are for the White Sox, and let's kind of keep it going with like, what are the keys for the Mariners to win this series?
Hitting with runners in scoring position. I know like everybody says that about their team, and everyone's like, "Oh, my team's got to be the worst with runners in scoring position." But that really has been a problem for the Mariners this year. It just I would like to see them string a couple of hits together in a row, ideally. It's like they obviously have a lot of great home run hitters, but it's makes me nervous just like relying on home runs to, win the game. So I think having the consistent offense. I mean, I know we got a huge boost with Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, although T-Mobile Park is notoriously not very hitter friendly. So um, hopefully we can get some offense going, but we'll see. It would be good to get some 5 6 inning starts from our pitchers too.
So, with that, what kind of fears do you have? Again, we just talked about RISP, and everyone complains about it. I complain about it as the White Sox are up 4-0 in the first inning. But what are the fears that you have with the Mariners kind of heading into this? And again, White Sox are apparently red hot after the All Star break.
Yeah, they seem to be like just having fun. They're on a tear. I don't know. Like obviously not rooting for them this series, but it seems like they're just having a good time. So I'm happy for everybody who has probably had a tough couple of seasons as White Sox fans. I'm happy that like things are just like they're just rolling right now. Yeah, like I said, I think offense is going to be key. Try to keep the strikeouts to a minimum. Try not to hit into double plays. Um, but yeah, I think if they can get the offense going and if they can get a couple of good starts from their pitchers, give the bullpen a little break, then yeah, we're in good shape.
So, moving away from this series, is there anything else that you've just noticed in baseball in general that you've either enjoyed or hated or have hot takes on?
Um, I think it's really cool. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think MLB blacking people out of their regional games is a huge bummer. I think that that's something that I would like to see. A girl can dream that it'll just be like easy for one network to pick up all of the sports games. You could just watch your team no matter where they're playing, no matter where you're at. Um, I think that would be cool. But I think one thing that's really neat about so many people having the MLB app is that you can really follow a lot more teams. And something that I'm really grateful for Bluesky in is that like it's easy to kind of just like check in on how teams are doing, based on like who you follow and how their team is going. So that's something that I'm really enjoying. I feel like I have a much better connection to baseball in general this year instead of just like the Mariners, because it gets really insular on like the your sports team's corner of the internet. So I'm grateful to kind of have like a, I don't know, kind of an overview of the league. I think I follow people from who are fans of almost every team. I don't know if Angels fans exist. I
I
think
don't
I've
think
met
they do.
one I've met one in my life. I'm not really sure like where or what Angels fans are doing, but I think I follow like most teams in the league, fans of most teams in the league on Blue Sky. So that's been just like a lot of fun. I think something that I'm not excited about is I think I think it's just really frustrating that what the White Sox went through last season was allowed to happen in the first place, and that we're seeing it again in back-to-back seasons with the Rockies now. That is just really aggravating to me. It's like if you own a sports team, you should like that sport and your team. It's like I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about sports ownership, but that's been just like really hard for me to watch. And then just everything that's happening with the A's. I think I don't know. I'll yell about this until I'm in the ground, and then maybe afterward too. I don't know, but it's just really hard seeing that just like the storied franchise of the Athletics, the Oakland Athletics, just going through this. It's hard for Las Vegas because like Las Vegas deserves a good team, not like the team, or like a new team, not like the team that John Fisher is like cheaping out on to save some money. And I don't know. It's I can go on and on. It's extremely tough to watch. Just I think for all of us, whether or not you like care about like the A's or anything, it's just hard knowing that like that could be any of our teams, and just to see them in limbo, with no sure plans for the future is really tough.
Well, you see that. Well, I mean, as a White Sox fan, you're always hearing like, "Oh, they're moving to Florida. They're moving to Nashville," because Jerry is such a bad owner. And then you see teams like the Rays right now, who don't have a home. They're
Hmm.
playing in a minor league ballpark essentially. The A's are playing in a minor league ballpark, and obviously it comes from the top. Manfred is the worst thing for baseball, in my opinion. Like it's way past time for him. It's time to move to like salary caps and salary floors. Like he's just so bad for baseball, and you're seeing it day after day. With it, you mentioned like how could it have happened to the White Sox last year? How are the Rockies this bad this year? Like how are we allowing these things to happen? And then you have to think like, oh, there's not going to be a season in 2027. There's going to be a lockout. And again, we have to go back to the worst commissioner baseball has ever had.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I didn't even get to like the lockout potential, and just like how tough next season is going to be. It's like we've got the Olympics coming up. I think the World Baseball Classic is happening. So it's like there's going to be a lot of tumultuous happenings, I think, in Major League Baseball in the next couple of years. And yeah, just it's tough to see. It's like I feel like MLB is always talking about like growing the game, but it's like, who are you trying to grow the game for? Because like if I live in Seattle, I can't use MLB to watch the Mariners. I have to, like get a cable plan or like subscribe to the regional sports network. It's like I feel like there are a lot of way easier ways to try to reach more people instead of playing a baseball game in the middle of a racetrack. Uh,
That they don't
so
even have food for. Gosh,
yeah,
so.
exactly. And so many people that I saw on Blue Sky yesterday before the game got rained out were just like, I am blacked out from this game. So even if I wanted to watch it, I couldn't. And it's like, I don't know. It's really frustrating. I feel like there's a lot of ways that they could be going, like making things more easy to access for fans. And instead, I don't know. Instead, we've got rules about like pitcher disengagements and throwing to first base. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
my daughter is a guitar teacher. He grew up on like the basically kind of a border of Indiana and Illinois. And he's a Royals fan. And he's like, I can't ever watch unless I'm like there in person. I don't even
Hmm.
get Royals games, and I am nowhere near driving distance to go see them. That's not like a thing you can just go drive and watch a game. And he was like, but I can't even watch my own team play baseball because of the blackout restrictions. It just blows my mind that that is still a thing.
Yeah, it's really frustrating, and I feel like that's like baseball is losing a lot of fans that way, and plus it's like talking about just like all the ways that like MLB like streams their games. Just thinking about all the people who don't have the means to access all of these different streaming tools, or don't know maybe how to like use the computer to access a game on Roku network or whatever. I don't know. The Mariners had one of those last week. It's like you've got Apple TV, you've got ESPN, you've got Roku, you've got MLB for some so it's really I know it's 162 games. It's like a lot of games to watch, but like other sports seem to have figured it out. Like maybe it's all on Apple TV. Like that's annoying to have to get Apple TV, but at least I can get all of my games there. Or like on YouTube or something. It's I don't know. It really grinds my gears.
Well, yeah, and I was using YouTube TV for the longest time to catch games. I got my White Sox games there, and then they have this stupid deal now, and it's like the Bears, the Bulls, and the White Sox are all on CHSN, and they don't have a deal with YouTube TV or like anybody else. And then the Cubs, if you want to watch the Cubs, they're on an entirely different station. And I'm just like, you're just what is the reason? I'm not going back to cable. I don't want to pay $100 a month to watch, a handful of baseball games each week. This is
Hmm.
insanity.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that that's something that I mean, it's easy for me to say just like sitting here in my apartment, like not understanding how these things work. But I feel like that seems like something that could be done to make it easier for a lot more people to be able to follow their teams. Like it's cool that like I can turn on, like I can open up my phone and like watch a baseball game for a team that I'm like not really that invested in. If I hear, like something's happening, or there's maybe a pitcher I want to check out, but like, I should be able to do that for the Mariners too.
Yes, it is unbelievably frustrating. Um, well, that's what I have for you. In case people don't already follow you on Blue Sky, will you please just let people know where they can find you?
Sure. I am at baseball dash broad at bsky.social.
Way better than the alternatives. People need to make that switch over. There are some people that are still on the other site that I'm just like, will you please? I miss your presence, but I refuse to download Twitter back onto my phone. So,
Yeah, yeah. I think that was the cool thing about like the trade deadline just happening. I've noticed a lot more people seem to be posting on Blue Sky. I wish at Mariners would post on Blue Sky, but well, maybe we'll get there someday. Get them off threads first.
Oh gosh, yeah. All right, well, thank you so much. Obviously, best of luck in this series. It should honestly be very interesting because again, the White Sox are on a very weird hot streak that I appreciate a lot. So, playing an like actual another competitive team, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My pleasure. Sure.